If you look at your to-do list and feel your mind go blank, if you sit down to work and suddenly you can't think, then this video is for you, because that freeze isn't laziness, it isn't a lack of intelligence, and it isn't that you don't care. What you're experiencing isn't avoidance, it's a capacity overload response. Your brain isn't refusing to work, it's protecting itself from too much input all at once. In this video, I'll explain why your brain freezes when there's too much to do, what's actually happening neurologically in that moment, and how to unfreeze yourself without pushing harder. This isn't about productivity, it's about understanding your system. So let's name this properly. That frozen feeling where you feel stuck and foggy and unable to start, it's not indecision, it's not procrastination as a character flaw, it's a stress response. When your brain is presented with too many demands all at once, it doesn't prioritize, it shuts down optional thinking. This is the same system that freezes animals in danger, not because they're weak, but because action without clarity is risky. Your brain has limited working memory. It can only actively hold a small number of items at once, 5 to 7 depending on who you listen to, but when you exceed that limit, comparison stops working, sequencing breaks, decision making degrades, everything flattens. That's why everything feels equally urgent, nothing feels clearly next, even simple tasks feel heavy. This is not a failure, it's capacity being exceeded. Cognitive load is everything your brain believes it's responsible for holding. So not just tasks, but unfinished decisions, vague commitments, emotional pressure, expectations, fear of forgetting something important. When cognitive load gets too high, your brain stops planning. Planning requires bandwidth, so instead your system goes into containment mode. And freeze is containment. From the outside, freeze looks like avoidance, but internally something different is happening. Your brain is asking, if I start, what do I start with? If I choose wrong, what happens? What if I miss something important? Under overload, there is no safe answer, so the system chooses the safest option available, and that option is to do nothing. Not because it's optimal, but because it avoids immediate risk. This is why advice like just pick one thing, just start anywhere, stop overthinking often makes the freeze worse. Because choosing under overload increases pressure, it raises the stakes, it adds fear of choosing wrong, so instead of relief, the system feels even more threatened and freeze deepens. This is why effort-based advice fails here. Here's the reframe from the momentum reset method. Feeling frozen is not a signal to push, it's a signal to reduce. Before your brain can choose, it needs fewer things to choose between. Before it can act, it needs safety. That means fewer open loops, clearer edges, lower perceived consequences. Relief comes before action. This is why people feel relief when they write things down, but only if it actually reduces responsibility. Dumping tasks onto a list without clarity just moves the overload onto paper. Your brain relaxes only when it knows nothing important will be forgotten. Each item has a container, there's a clear next step. This is why the cognitive load inventory works. It removes responsibility, not just visibility. Here's a gentle way to unfreeze when this happens. Not a productivity trick, a nervous system aware reset. First, pause. Do not force movement. Second, ask, what is my brain trying to hold on to right now? Third, get everything out of your head, all of it, but no organising yet. Fourth, choose one item and define it. What does done actually look like? Fifth, shrink it until it feels almost trivial. That's not avoidance, that's safety creation. When you shrink the task, you lower the perceived risk, and that in turn reduces threat signals, brings the prefrontal cortex back online, restores sequencing ability, so your brain goes from this is all way too much to this is manageable. And once movement starts, the freeze often melts on its own. This matters. Being frozen is more common in people who care deeply, who see many possibilities, who hold high standards, who feel responsible. The more you see, the easier it is to overload your system. And this isn't a weakness, it's an unregulated strength. You can be highly motivated and still be frozen. Motivation answers, why should I do this? But being frozen asks, is it safe to act right now? Two different systems. Until safety is restored, motivation has nowhere to go. Being frozen rarely appears out of nowhere. It builds when open loops accumulate, decisions are postponed, pressure isn't discharged. Regular load reduction prevents freeze, not intensity, not discipline, maintenance. This is why procrastination and being frozen often overlap. Procrastination is often freeze in disguise, and being frozen is not solved by guilt or shame or urgency. It's solved by reducing load and restoring clarity. Now look, if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, it's this. When your brain freezes, it's not failing, it's overwhelmed. And overwhelmed systems don't need pressure, they need relief. If you've been frustrated with yourself for freezing up, pause. Nothing is wrong with you. Your system has been asked to carry too much for too long. In the next videos, we'll explore why everything feels urgent under overload, how decision fatigue keeps pressure alive, and how to reduce cognitive load without showing progress. Those videos, like this one, will feature in my Overwhelm playlist. I'll put a link to it on the screen up here somewhere and also in the description. Also subscribe to the channel and you'll get notified when those videos go live. And if you want a structured way to apply this, the momentum reset method walks you through it step by step. You don't need to push harder. You need to make it safe to think again.